I could mess up the
Can I use the perfume to find information about it?
I didn't really know how to look that up in the library.
So let's look for Nylonathotep.
The Necrotelecomnicon was a book that legend spoke of, saying that any mortal man who read it would be driven insane. I learnt about it from a copy of Necrotelecomnicon discussed for students with practical experiments that I found in the library. In this tome there is a description of the old dark gods of the Disc, including the terrible laddering holler, Nylonathotep. Apparently, Nylonathotep was once summoned by a series of 8 murders forming a perfect octagram, focused at the center of the Circle C, thus releasing it from the sunken city of Leshp, where he was trapped, along with drunken Cthulhu Bapalulu.
Cthulhu Bapalulu?
The book speculated about the whereabouts of Nylonathotep now, but beyond him being safely imprisoned somewhere around the Circle C, it drew no conclusions.
So that's what they're doing. They're trying to summon an ancient dark demon lord. Silly cultists. You're writing down a lot, Luton. What did you write down? Oh, another octagram of murders. Well, you can see that it kind of, it's similar.
In the past, an octagram of murders had been involved in summoning Nylonathotep.
And we've had quite a few murders.
I'd already learnt about the occult. Perhaps I could find out about the symbol in the library as well.
Well, that was my next thing that I wanted to do.
I found the obscure star-like symbol in the Necrotelecomnicon discussed for students. It called it the sign of the eel, or the Elver sign. It was apparently a protective ward against some of the older, darker gods of the Discworld. The tome also explained how to inscribe one, the order of tracing being very important. Not that I believed any of this mumbo-jumbo, but hey, you can't afford to be too careful, right?
Right.
In the past, an octagram of murders had been involved in summoning Nylonathotep. The symbol I'd found in the sanctuary was the ancient Elver sign, which apparently was a ward against the old dark gods of the Discworld.
Well then, that was very insightful. So if we go back to the sanctuary, hopefully it's empty. Yes. Can we use the octagram of murders? Where was it? Here. To pinpoint the other murders.
The murders were marking out a perfect octagram, just like the one that had been used to free Nylonathotep from sunken Leshp centuries ago. If I was right, there would be 2 more murders, one in Tegan Street and one in the Wizard's Pleasance. If I knew which one was next, I could stake it out.
Well, were they done in order?
In the center of the octagram was the Disc Theater, which almost certainly meant some kind of cosmic evil was entombed there. I can't say I was enthusiastic at the thought of checking it out. For some reason,
Damn. You know, those cultists are gonna figure out that someone was here since you scrawled all over their map. But, whatever. I guess, Oh, and we have the locations to visit. Maybe I should tell Nobby that there's gonna be more murders. And we know where, but not when.
Can't help you with that. Can't help you with that, Squire.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to go to Malaclips to help me out on all these things.
You're not going to believe this, but I have to tell you anyway. There's a cult at work in the city, and if we don't stop them, they're going to destroy the city at the very least, and probably a lot more beside. Frankly, I don't know who else to turn to, and I thought I might be able to get you on my side. You're right. That I can get you on my side?
That he's not gonna believe me.
Nah, that I'm not going to believe it. I'm sorry, Luton. Coming back from the grave is one thing. I mean, we all know that it happens all the time, don't we? But cults plotting to destroy the city.
Yeah, absolutely insane, isn't it?
Nah, sorry. You're just pulling my leg.
Yeah, they're such a peaceful bunch.
We'd know about it. And now you do. I've just told you. Really? Got any evidence?
Don't I? I kinda do. If you look at the murders, they're kind of, ritualistically placed.
Octograms of murders weren't exactly something you could bring up in passing.
What do you mean? It's so easy to work it in.
I didn't want to mention the sign of the eel to just anyone. They'd think I was mad.
Well, it's time to go to the maddest person I know. Malaclips.
I need your help. Does an octogram of murders mean anything to you?
It means death and torment to everyone around it.
That's encouraging. Does this symbol mean anything to you?
Yes. But I had best not discuss it with you.
Oh, please. Please, please, please.
Why not?
I don't want anyone who's listening in to know I know what it is.
That doesn't help me much.
I can't tell you everything, Luton.
Heard of Nylonathotep?
Shh! Do not say that name so loudly.
Why not?
There are some names you simply do not wish to speak without taking proper precautions. No, don't say that word to me ever again.
Okay, so it's a bad thing. We kinda knew.
Blah!
Okay.
Blah!
Well, he's been, as helpful as I expected. I doubt Death will have anything to say about this, except, you gotta figure it out. I can't spoil. But we have 3 new locations to go to, so let's go to the Disc Theater. The epicenter of everything.
Everyone on the disc knows the legend of Eleanor of Tsot. Or at least everyone knows a legend of Eleanor of Tsot. Or Krinix. Or El Harib. Ask most people and they'll tell you that she was the cause of the Tsotian Wars. Of course, ask most people and they'll tell you the patrician is a kind and benevolent man. Never trust what most people tell you. The real cause of the Tsotian Wars was a little-known goddess called Errata.
Are you practicing? Because there's nobody here. Hey, flyer
There
first.
was a flyer left behind on one of the seats.
Do. Oh, don't exit. We're not done here. Let's read this flyer that is not in my notebook. It is in my bag.
I'd picked up the theater flyer from the Disc Theater. It told me about the plays in the Disc's current season.
Okay.
The stage, where performers go up in front of a drunken crowd and sell their dignity to earn enough money to barely live on. It made me think that all the discs a stage and all the people players. Unfortunately, I felt like I'd been cast as an extra in my own life story.
Oh, what a way to put it. I'm sure a lot of us feel that way.
The pompous windbag on the stage was Previtier.
The pompous windbag.
He went beyond being a ham. He had 2 eggs, fried mushrooms, and a gigantic rasher of bacon.
Could I read that flyer a little bit more?
The 8 plays in sequence were The Happy Prince of Copperhaven, Antilogy and Cleopatra, Kensington, The King of Ankh, The Leering King, The Tyrant, Trochilus and Cressylic, and Titus Diplodocus. The flyer didn't tell me anything about them, though.
Cool, so just the names then.
The names on the list were some I recognized. The question was, what did they have in common? Why did someone have a list of their names, and how did they get it into the pendant? The flyer didn't tell me. I'd picked up the theater flyer. It told me about the plays and the... That's pretty good. You've been acting long?
One is either born an actor, or one is never an actor.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I can just see you paddling about the womb with a script in hand.
Do you doubt my credentials as the disc's premier performer of dramatic scenes?
Yes, yes.
As far as I'm concerned, one actor is as good as another. You come on, you speak your lines, and then you get killed. How hard can it be?
Here I stand, your slave, a poor, infirm, weak, and despised old man. Do you slight me such?
What?
You are not abreast of Whell's fair pen, then, stranger.
I fear I am not abreast.
The name's Luton. And no, I don't know Whell's work at all.
My name is Previtier, and my realm is that of tragedy and comedy. The finest arts are my purview.
Purview.
Yeah, if you say so. So you're an actor?
It is my calling to tread the boards, and for this I am called an actor.
Translation, yes. Why do you talk like that?
When one is blessed with silk, one does not wear cotton.
What's that supposed to mean?
You are not familiar with the ways of the theater, are you, my boy?
No. I always thought it was about getting killed in a different way every night.
Well, that's part of it. But it's also about the lines, the pomp and the circumstance. Men in skirts. Yes, yes, the play's the thing.
To catch the cash flow of the dim.
You disapprove? A man must his living make.
If he could make it with decent grammar, I wouldn't mind.
You should come and see the spectacle. Perhaps then you would cast less scorn upon our merry ways.
You want me to go to see a play?
Come to hear the wooden dialogue.
That's not much of a quote.
It was the best I could do at short notice.
What's playing at the moment?
Trochilus and Cressylic, the tale of the frailty of woman and the stupidity of a man in love.
With a lot of bloody deaths thrown in for good measure.
To keep the audience captivated.
But of course.
But of course.
Tell me about the plays.
Would that I had the time to sing the praises of all Whell's masterworks. But time is short and life is fleeting.
Just tell me about the plays.
Our current season is a groundbreaking interpretation of Whell's most famous works, pushing back the boundaries of art and style.
Groundbreaking?
'Tis a term we of the noble calling use to describe the way each generation improves and expands upon the themes laid bare in the soul by inspiration.
In other words, your murder scenes look more and more realistic every year.
The triumph of effects.
Unfortunately, the triumph of effects over plot.
The plots are as entrancing as the day they were first written.
In other words, you haven't had any new ideas in decades.
But the effects have been getting better.
If the way is true, why err from it?
All right. Man, I hate talking to you. Let's, talk some more, I guess.
I gave Carlotta's description.
Indeed, I have seen that young flower amongst the audience. She comes often and stays unto the end.
Really?
I oft find myself musing as to what it is that draws her back.
You wonder why she bothers to come back? So, you're admitting that the plays aren't very good.
As good as they are, this young lady has been back to see the same play many times.
Which play in particular?
And she is not alone. There are several such regulars. But perhaps these fine souls sense that the magic of each of the plays is timeless.
I suspect there's more to it than that. Can you describe any of the others?
Alas, only the lady's visage is burnt across my eyes like the dawn's first light.
Have you heard of the counterweight killings?
Ah, a terrible state of affairs, a tragedy.
But do you know anything about it?
I know it's been very good for the gate receipts.
Has anything unusual happened around here recently?
Who am I to say what is usual and what is an aberrance of nature?
Believe me, if I had someone else to ask, I would.
The closest to an unusual occurrence was when Lucius, miserable souse that he is, missed the role in Titus Diplodocus.
Missed his role?
He was supposed to be playing Canapé, but he didn't turn up. I don't know where he is.
He didn't turn up, eh?
Where he is? He still hasn't turned up.
Probably afraid we're going to eat him alive when he finally drags his sorry carcass back here.
I think that might be a little on the nose.
Did you hear about the murder of the patrician's clerk?
Ah, the patrician. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown.
I don't think he ever wears one, but I'll take that as a no. There was a murder at Unseen University recently. The reader of esoteric occultism was killed. Do you know anything about that?
Alas, no. But all that must live must die, passing through nature to eternity.
Remind me not to invite you to my next party. Have you heard about any merchants being murdered recently?
But of course. One was slain in this very theatre only days ago.
Really?
Really?
At the climax of Kensington,
Oh.
the merchant is strangled by his very wife. It was very dramatic.
Strangled? That sounds familiar.
The murder was in the play?
I would not take such pleasure in a real murder, my boy.
To mourn a mischief that is past and gone is the next way to draw new mischief on. Couldn't you just say, bad things cause other bad things?
One must embrace the beauty of language.
Well, ease up on the hug, Privitier. I think the language needs to breathe a little.
So the murders are based on the plays here, because the merchant was strangled. Interesting.
A man named Mundy was killed recently.
Slain amidst the bright flags of peace, eh?
Well, hung upside down in his room with his eyes plucked out, actually.
Indeed. It reminds me of Will's epic, The Leering King. Ah, such sweet sorrows.
What's that supposed to mean?
It means that the gods exploit our weaknesses to show us our faults.
More like the gods exploit our weaknesses because it's a bit of a laugh.
There may be truth in what you speak.
Yes, indeed.
Do you know anything about the dwarf who rode his carriage off the Magdalen Bridge the other week?
Indeed, I do not. I trust he was not a friend of yours.
No, I didn't know him. His name was Reagan.
Reagan. I did not know him. Although I thank you for the news all the same.
You thank me for the news?
Though it be honest, it is never good to bring bad news.
Did the other children beat you up when you were little?
Yikes.
There was a murder up in the rooftops recently. A troll named Malachite was stabbed to death. Did you hear about that?
I know naught of stabbings, save the foul betrayal in The Tyrant.
The Tyrant? A play?
We performed it but recently. Ah, the grandeur of the stage.
Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war. The dogs of war?
In the play, the tyrant leads an army of dogs into battle, but they kept slipping all over the place because of the general muddiness.
Does he win?
Well, in the end, he's betrayed by his closest ally and stabbed to death by the people of Ephebi.
Doesn't sound like much of a victory.
No, but it's a glorious death. Et tu, Cletus. Pure poetry.
So all these plays seem to be quite connected to the way that people died.
Tell me what you know about golden swords.
Alas, I know of but one such blade, the falchion from Troculus and Chrysilic.
The falchion was a slightly curved sword, cast in gold.
Well, the real one would be if it existed. Our prop is an old table leg whittled to a point.
Interesting.
About the prop? We have many other props, you know.
I meant what you said about the sword was interesting. I think it was the blade that killed me the other week.
Yep.
Well, they don't make murders like they used to.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Is there a gold-plated jewel in any of the plays?
Not that I'm aware of, dear boy. But Clef Patare is described as the jewel of the jelly, if that's any help.
What happens to her?
She gets bitten by an asp. It's very moving.
Yeah, I bet it gets the audience moving for the exits.
Got bitten by an asp.
Does dead men's pointy boots mean anything to you?
I can't help you with that.
I can't help you with that, my boy.
Have you heard of errata?
But, of course, the architect of the Tsortian Wars, the origin of our little play tonight.
How come?
Being the goddess of misunderstandings, Errata's popularity is lacking. And she feels slighted by not being invited to a certain wedding. So she plans a devious vengeance, which in turn causes the Tsortian War.
And is it based on a true story?
Everything is a truth of a sort.
Is that a yes or a no?
I am not one to judge such things.
What would you say if I told you I suspected people are being murdered to summon a terrible entity to destroy the city?
I would say, doomsday is near, die all, die merrily.
That's from one of these silly plays, isn't it?
The King of Ankh, Act 4, Scene 1.
I was serious, you know. The disc might be the focal point for infernal forces that could destroy the city. I'd enjoy talking to you a lot more if you'd just stop quoting those damn plays. Do you realize how pathetic this makes you look?
What? Must I hold a candle to my shames?
You know, I think I'll be glad if this place does get destroyed by horrors from beyond time and space.
Yeah, I agree.
It'd be great publicity. Should I tell them how to spell my name?
Maybe. It's a little difficult to spell.
I didn't want to mention the sign of the eel to just anyone. They'd think I was mad. Seen any strange beasts around here?
Not since the transmogrification scene in Dream of Somewhere Near the End of Spring last year.
That's not very helpful. Do you know a troll by the name of Jasper Horst?
My dear boy.
What can you tell me about this flyer?
Ah! The proud harbinger of our festivities, the page that trumpets the act that illuminates the soul.
That inhabits the body that slept on the seats that sat in the theater that shoddy carpenters made.
Do you mock me, my boy?
Oh, you're way ahead of me on that one.
So not much help. I don't think I'll be able to record any further because there's a crying baby from the neighbors wailing.
Do these bandages mean anything to you?
I can't help you.
Can't help you with that, my boy.
I'd keep the list of names.
Okay, so we're figuring out that the plays here are kind of connected to the murders happening around. But why? Well, we know that they want to summon an ancient demon thing. But what is the relevance of the plays? We still have 2 new locations to explore.
The moon over Dagon Street lit the rundown alley. It didn't look like anyone was around. It was as abandoned as the Octarine parrot on open stage night. One of the shops in the street was called the Three Jolly Luck Takeaway Fish Bar. I remembered that name from somewhere.
I don't.
Something to do with Mr. Hong.
Mr. Hong.
I remember he went missing somehow.
Was it the guy from the plays? Oh yeah, because he's missing. He missed showing up for the play.
The abandoned fish bar was boarded up tight.
But I have crowbar.
I couldn't pull the boards off with my hands.
bare hands. Bare hands. Crowbar power. Anything else that I should be looking at here? No, just the corpse we're gonna find in a second.
The fish bar was littered with assorted debris. Amongst the debris, I found a bone that seemed a little out of place.
A human bone? Where is this bone?
The bone seemed out of place somehow. I wasn't sure why. I didn't want to take the bone.
Come on, who's a good boy?
It was bad enough that I'd been carrying around some dead troll's tooth all this time.
It was made of diamond. Alright. I think some murder happened here. Let's see what we can sniff out. Oh boy.
There was a disturbing dark magenta scent in the fish bar, something that resonated with cosmic evil. It scared me. It scared me that anything could have such a disturbing scent. And it scared me that I could tell what color cosmic evil was.
Magenta, apparently. Very dark pink. Okay, let's pick it up then. Sense. And just put it in my scent box. Dark magenta.
The dark magenta scent was deep and sinister.
He didn't want to do anything with the bone, though. I kind of want to inspect this probably a human bone.
I didn't want to take the bone. It was bad enough that the bone seemed... I wasn't sure why.
Out of place somehow. Huh. Don't really know what to do with that.
I could wrap the bone up in bandages. I still didn't want to carry it around with me. The bone seemed out of place somehow. I wasn't sure.